Hey, just wanted to make a quick video about how my new punch works. Pretty excited about this one because I can change sizes of dies and it should center just about any coin. Obviously I haven't tried every coin yet, but let me grab a handful of coins. Alright, so here's some stuff I got today, and we got a few different sizes here. Let's see. I got different diameters, different thicknesses, and so let me show you how this thing works. For each size of punch, you're going to have a die and a liner. The die is going to sit down in this base. It has the external threads, and it sits in a taper, so it gets a little locked, but I have a taper on the inside here and on the outside of the die, so that once it's in, it's going to keep it centered and it's going to keep it straight and lined up with everything. I have some clearance on the back, so if it did get stuck, you can push through the back there to get it out. But once it's in there, it doesn't move. You know, it's very centered, which is nice. Alright, so let's say I want to do this, which is a 1924 Latvia 1 lat, I guess. I'm going to grab one of these centering rings, the one that fits. And if you look here, I've got a taper on the inside. The other side, the opening is 30 thousandths smaller, and it's got a taper also. And by building 15 of these, I was able to cover a pretty wide range. It should cover just about any coin. We're going to look for the one that the coin sits in, but also sits above. Okay, so this one is very close. I'm going to try the next size up, which would be the other side. And if it sits above it, which it does, I'm going to use that, because the further it can get into the centering ring and still be above the top is good, and I'll show you why it needs to be above. You're going to put your coin on top of the die there, and you're going to take the centering ring that you found and put it over the coin. And as you kind of wiggle the coin around and as you put pressure down, that taper is going to hold that coin in the center, because there's a tight fit between the outside diameter of this centering ring and the inside of the base, so that holds that down. Now the lid is going to thread on, and the bottom of the lid here is going to put pressure on this centering ring, and that's going to hold everything snug. So once this is on and your coin is centered, nothing's moving in there, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Dad, I'm going on an adventure.
Okay. See ya. And this is the liner. So the liner needs to match up with the die and the punch. The punch is made from a high-speed steel drill, and the diameter of the punch is about 497 thousandths of an inch. The inside diameter of the liner is about 500 thousandths of an inch, 499 to 501 thousandths of an inch, so right at about a half an inch. And the punch is actually, the die is actually a little bit bigger. It accounts for the clearance that we need for the coin to push through, and so by keeping this closer to the size of the punch and opening up the die just a little bit, we're going to make sure that we're centered through that hole, which is really important when you're taking something hardened and punching it through something else that's hardened, like that die. If you put a hardened piece onto a hardened piece and you press it with a heavy press, it could shatter. It could absolutely shatter, and it could be pretty dangerous. So you always need to make sure that you have a set of a punch, a liner, and a die that go together. It's incredibly important. Just like the die on the inside, this is also tapered, and so is the internal diameter of this. So when this sits in here, it doesn't move side to side. It's tight and it's centered and it's straight. From there, you just put your punch in and push it through with a press, or tap it through with a brass hammer maybe. It doesn't take much force. I kind of, as soon as I felt it touch the coin, it was about another half action, and it was through there. So now if we take everything out of here, we can see that we got this punched. Our punch is still sitting in our die, our punched out piece, and it's only got a little bit further to go before it's all the way through. And you got a couple options here as far as how to get this off. You can pry it off here if you want. I usually end up pushing it the rest of the way through. I have an arbor press right here that I use. You could tap it through with a hammer. You could tap it off with a rawhide mallet or a rubber hammer maybe. I'll usually do this and press my punch the rest of the way through with the arbor press. So let's go right here. That's the easiest way for me to do it. I'm sure everybody will come up with their own way for getting it the rest of the way through. But you can see the punched out piece is in fairly good condition. There's not too many burrs. There's a slight burr, and you can see where it kind of pushed it over. The coin is still flat. It didn't get damaged at all. If anything, you can see some marking where it sat on the die on the bottom side, but the detail's still there. The burr is very minimal. It easily be cleaned up, and best of all, it's nice and centered. I can grab my calipers and double check it. So on this side I'm at, let me see, 201 thousandths. On this side I'm at 201 thousandths. I turn it 90 degrees, 200 thousandths, and I dropped it again, of course. I don't know where I was, but you get the idea. It's right there. It's perfectly centered. And so, I mean, the difference that makes when you're making your ring is having it that perfectly centered. Just saves you so much time, and that's why I really like the centering ring feature on this punch. That's a 10-minute video, so that's probably long enough. Might try to make a faster one.